test. Here we go. So number one says the table shows the amount of water in ounces remaining in a humidifier as a function of the number of minutes the humidifier is running. Okay. Now remember, when you're doing this, your top is your x value. This is like x, and then this one is like y. Okay. Now they're using n and f of n in this table. But you have your independent value, number of minutes, going on the top row. Then you have your dependent amount of water on the second column. Okay. Now, based on this table, which function models this situation? Okay. Now, when you have a table, you're going to get a slope-intercept equation. Y'all got to remember how we did this. You do it in Desmos. Okay. So when you start with the table, you're trying to get a slope-intercept y equals mx plus b, right? And remember, slope-intercept is y mx plus b. So let's do that. So remember, you go over here and you click this plus sign, click table, type this in. So 30, 60, 120, 150. So all that first row becomes the first column. And then my second row on the original becomes my second column in Desmos. Okay. Now, you gotta remember what to type, what to write here. So in Desmos, what you type in is y1 squiggle mx1 plus b. So let's type this in. y1 squiggle mx1 plus b. Okay. Now, just if you wanted to see it on this graph, it does graph it for you. Not a lot. Okay. But over here, it gives you an M and it gives you a B. Now look, it says negative 0.5, negative 0.5. If you just type that into Desmos, you can click the fraction bar and it'll tell you, okay, we got y equals negative 1/2 is our M, our slope, x plus b, which is 150. Cool. So our best answer is letter B. All right. Okay, number 2. So we have a table this time. But this time, if you look at your answer choices, these are not y equals. This is not y equals. So this is called point slope form. So what is point slope form? Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Okay. So what I need is my m, my slope. And if you remember how to do this from a table, okay, I like to do bird beaks. Okay, it's the change in y over the change in x. Okay. So what I'm going to do is to, on the y side, on the right side, bottom minus top, negative 60. Let's put it right here. Negative 60 minus negative 99 over, and then I go to the x side, bottom minus top, negative 8 minus negative 164. I can type it in one step into decimals. So I'm going to get rid of all the stuff I had here before. So let's hit divide first. Negative 60 minus negative 99 Then I go down, I'm going to do -8 minus -164. I get 0.25, click the fraction circle, and it's 1/4. So my m is 1/4. Now I need a point. So if I'm looking at my answer choices, 17 and 164, looks like they're using this point, okay? So my x1, comma, y1 is going to be this point right here, okay? So if I use this formula, I'm going to do y minus, what's the y value here? -17 equals m, which we found out was 1/4, parentheses x minus, x1 is 164. The only other thing you want to do is the y minus negative is really a plus. Take 1/4 x minus 164 in parentheses. So the best answer we have is A. Okay, so this one's kind of tricky. You got to find the slope. You got to pick the right point that'll match your answer choices. Okay, number 3. The graph of a linear function is shown on the grid. Which equation in point-slope form is best represented by this graph? Okay. So very similarly, point-slope form. Okay. We want to pick 2 points on the grid, count the rise, up 1, count the 1, 2, 3, 4, run up 5. So m equals rise over run on a graph. We got 1 over 5 as our m. Cool. Now, if you look at the numbers here, we need a point that's got a 3 and a 5. So I want you to notice 3 comma 5 is not on the graph. 5 comma 5 is not an answer. 3, -3, 5. Okay, so look, this point right here has a 5 and a 3. Okay, I know that kind of seems arbitrary, but you got to find the best point that matches the answer choices. So x1 comma y1 is going to be -5 comma +3. And then we plug it into y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So our y1 is 3, so y minus 3 equals, our m is 1/5, and x minus -5. So remember, minus a negative is like a plus. So our best answer we get is y minus 3 with x plus 5, and 1/5 is our slope. So A is the best answer. Number 4, which equation best represents the graph shown below? So, scratch that E out. When you're doing these, okay, you really want to think about how can I get this standard form into a slope-intercept form. So you can do either cover-up method to solve for the intercepts, or solve for y. But you're basically going to have to take those answer choices and do something with them. Okay. So here's an example on solve for y. Okay. Let me just put it over here. Okay. There's a solve for y method, and we'll use this equation right here: 3x minus 8y. If I want to solve for y, first I need to get rid of this x. It's a positive 3x, so I'm going to subtract 3x here, subtract 3x here. And remember, this mx needs to go in front of this b. They are not like terms. You cannot combine them. So I'm going to bring this down. -8y equals, And remember that minus 3x goes first, and then it's plus 24. Cool. Now the next step is we got to get rid of the number in front of y, this coefficient. So remember, to get rid of it, you must divide. So to get rid of the -8, we divide by -8, divide by -8, divide by -8. Okay, so I get y equals. Now, you can just do -3 divided by -8 here. Fraction it. So it just turns into a positive 3 over 8. Those negatives cancel out. And 24 divided by -8 gives me -3. Now, that's just part of what you have to do, because once you solve for y, now you've got to see, does this match the graph, okay? Now I'll tell you off the bat, if it's mx plus b, this is a positive slope and a negative y-intercept. A positive slope is supposed to be going up to the right, and a negative y-intercept is supposed to be down here below 0. So I can tell you A is not right, okay? So we did A here, it didn't work out, okay? Now, cover-up method. Okay, so we're gonna take B. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is 3x plus 8y equals 24. Okay, so what I do first is I cover up the 3x. I'm just gonna scratch it out, and to get rid of this 8, we divide by 8. I'm basically finding the y-intercept, and I find the y-intercept by setting x equal to 0, which makes me scratch it out. So again, x equals 0, scratches it out, divide by 8, and I should get positive 3. Now you tell me, is the y-intercept positive 3? It is. So now I'm going to rewrite that same equation, 3x plus 8y equals 24, but this time I'm going to set y equal to 0, which means I scratch that one out. So now, to get rid of this 3, I divide by 3, divide by 3, and x is equal to 24 divided by 3, which is positive 8. Now you tell me, is the x-intercept positive 8? It is. So like, I already know by doing the cover-up method, when I scratch out the x term and divide, I get the y-intercept. When I scratch out the y term and solve for x, I get the x-intercept. If they match the graph, that's your answer already. Now it's y to solve these other ones, okay? So I'm going to solve this one for y real quick, okay? You end up getting y equals 3 over 8x plus 3. Now, this has the right y-intercept, but the slope is positive and the graph is negative. And this one, when you solve for y, you should get negative 3 over 8, which is the right slope for this, down 3 over 8. But then you get minus 3, and the y-intercept is not 3, negative 3. Okay, so you can either do solve for y or cover-up method. Whichever one's easier for you. The ice machine makes the same number of ice cubes each day. The table below shows the total number of cubes made as a function of the number of days the machine is running. Okay, now look, we have a table and we're trying to get a function that looks like y equals, right? So again, when you have a table, it's a function of a linear equation. you're going to use Desmos. That's the most correct way. You type in the table y equals y1 equals m x1 plus b. Let's try that one again. Plus sign table. 2, 4, 20, and then again y1, and then you do squiggle m x1 plus b, and you should get an m of 130 and a b of 0. Okay, so m of 130, b of 0. Normally you would just see this as 130x. You don't really write plus 0. So on number 6, the saving account balance can be modeled by the graph of the linear function shown on the grid. Which linear equation can be used to represent the balance after y after x number of deposits? Well, I can look at these answers and they're y equals mx plus b. So if I have a graph, right, what I want to do is find the m and the b. So again, m is, which is, so I pick some points. Now you got to kind of be careful here. Here's 100, so this has to be 50, okay? So that means this is going up by like 25s. Cool. So how much does this go up? 25, 50, 75 over 1. So it's rising 75 over 1, which is 75. You got to be real careful and use the numbers that are labeled. Okay, this is not 3 over 1. Okay, m is not equal to 3. No. And then your y-intercept right here, it crosses at 50. So your b value, y-intercept is 50. So we can write it as y m 75 x plus 50. Okay, so that answer is going to be right here. On your printout, it's going to have the right numbers, I promise. Okay, cool. 75x plus 50. Have to make sure I remember to fix that. But the y-intercept is definitely not 100. Yeah. Yeah, 75x plus 50. Alrighty. Helium balloon is released from the top of a building at 37 feet. The balloon is rising at a rate of 20 feet per second. Which function can be used to find the height of the helium balloon? Okay, look, we're talking about one item here. The helium balloon and its height, okay? So since it's one item, we gotta use y equals mx plus b. So remember, m is changing. So we look for a changing word like per. So this has to be my m, which is 20. B is not changing, it's constant. It's our starting point. And it is released from the starting point, 37 feet. So that's going to be a B of 37. So since it's one item, you're using mx plus b. So it's going to be m, which is 20, x plus b, which is 37. Cool. And a little bit different here. It says your mom has you go to the store to buy oranges and apples. 2 items. Well, those two items are X and Y. And if you remember from our notes, we start, let's keep reading. Strawberries cost $1.75 per pound. Grapes cost $2.06 per pound. Your mom gives you $20. We have a total amount. So we start with that total, 20. And then we're going to add up our X and Y to equal that 20. Now, leave some space here, because it's not just X and Y. You have to put their values next to it. What is the value of X oranges? All right, so this is supposed to be strawberries for the typo here. This is supposed to be grapes, so it should be fixed on your page. So anyways, we're going to add up our strawberries and grapes. So we're going to have X plus Y, but you got to put the value of the strawberries, 175, and then you got to put the value of the grapes, 206. That, my friends, is the equation, but you usually see it flipped around as AX, so 1.75 X plus BY, 2.06Y, equals C, the constant total. That will do for your equation, and that is your review. So you review the edited, mixed up